advertising. In general, it's something I used to do substantially, probably from 2004 to 2010. Probably have a few thousand hours of pay-per-click advertising management under me. We're definitely going to go through that. It's not all, success. There's definitely pitfalls. You can waste a lot of money. The one thing a lot of agents realize when they start to get involved with pay-per-click advertising is they're really surprised on how competitive it is and how many people are involved in it. It's not just, your own competition. You actually are competing against the insurance carriers. You're competing against companies that are trying to generate leads to sell them back to you. So there's an incredible amount of competition. Obviously to be successful, you really need to have a strategy. You need to be organized. You need to be prepared. I'll tell you right now, if you try to go on to go try to execute this stuff right after today's webinar, you're just wasting money. So, don't be impulsive. Don't do that. Maybe watch this webinar 20 times. That would be a better investment of time, I think. But hopefully I give you some good fundamental points to think about to put yourself in a position to be successful, because these things do work and there are results to be had. It's just understanding what it takes and really what fits best for you and the product you're trying to advertise. So we're going to talk about two types of advertising today. We're going to talk about Google pay-per-click advertising, which is on Google, obviously. And we'll talk a little bit about social media boosting advertising, which is found on Facebook and LinkedIn. So when we talk about Google pay-per-click, basically what that means is somebody goes into Google. You'll see I have like an example here. They'll type in whatever, life insurance or Dallas life insurance. And then over on the left is what are called organic results. And over on the right are what are called advertising results or pay-per-click advertising. So what you can do is you can actually set up an ad to show up over here on the right for specific keywords that are entered. And Google lets you have like a little title. It lets you have the web address. It lets you have kind of 2 sentences to promote your ad. And hopefully what happens is somebody searching for that term ends up clicking on your ad and going to your website. So like I said, you have the ability to kind of design the ad. And where it gets kind of tricky and confusing is there's definitely variables. With Google, you can set it up to be very, very specific. You can have it show up, you can have it show up based on location, the town, the county, the region, the state, the country. You can have it show up based on the type of person viewing it, how old they are, what languages they speak. There's a lot of parameters, hopefully, that can help you narrow down your search to get to your target market. But what it all comes down to, really, is how much are you going to bid to show up in that spot, right? So at the end of the day, I kind of put in Dallas life insurance, and you'll see that a lot of the bidders, are the carriers, State Farm, Mutual of Omaha, AIG, Farmers. So the question is, how much is it going to cost to be above these guys and be on the first page? And looks like one local company here has tried to set it up. And I don't know how much they've bid. They may have bid 30 cents. They may have bid $30 to be in this position. But obviously what happens is if, me, the consumer, decides to click on it, I go to where they want to send me. And these guys are sending me to their homepage. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think the concept, guys, is this could be a way to generate traffic to a specific landing page. And just to give you a little history, like I said, from about 2003 to about 2010, 2009, I had about 7 different websites that I built specifically for health insurance, life insurance, Medicare. They were all different. And I would use this Google pay-per-click advertising to drive people to these websites. And I actually had specific landing pages on those sites. And long story short, the people would say they were interested. They'd fill out a form. I would get an email, and I would give them to my top brokers, as at the time I was a wholesaler of those products. And I was at the, in my maybe height, generating probably 500 leads a week. And I was probably spending in upwards of, $2,500 a week. We had a big budget. We were a big company, $1 million company. But long story short, there was results to be had. Now, did I just sit down one day and start to get results? Absolutely not. No, it took a good 3 months of trial and error to really figure out what I would call the sweet spot. Because, regardless if you're using Google, regardless if you're using Facebook, there's things you have to consider, right? You have to consider, one, I'm getting leads, but are they the right people? And then two, I'm not getting any leads, and I'm spending a lot of money, probably because you're sending the people to the wrong spot. So without getting too detailed oriented, let me just kind of give you a scenario here. So I told you before, I threw in this Dallas life insurance, and these sites came up, and I said, oh, you know what? I'll try to click on this, MR Insurance Texas, because they look like a legitimate company. So when I clicked on it, it sends me to their homepage of their website. So I'm thinking I need life insurance, and the first thing I see is auto and home insurance. As a consumer, I probably give up immediately, hit the back button, and go right down to the next guy. So my point is that these types of variables make a huge difference in if you're going to get results or if you're not going to get results. And I guess my point is that it takes a lot of trial and error. And one of the most important parts of the whole process is if somebody clicks on your ad, where do you send them? You don't send them to your homepage. That's a disaster. You want to send them to a specific page designed for this advertisement. Usually they call it a landing page today. That landing page should probably have just a little bit of info about you, just a tad, like a paragraph, and probably some sort of fillable form that these people can fill out because they want, they want a quote or they want whatever you're advertising. It makes it one click, they fill it out, boom, you get back to them as fast as possible kind of thing. So that factors into getting results. And these are things that an experienced pay-per-click advertiser, they're thinking about these variables. They're thinking about the keywords they're bidding on. They're thinking about what their ad says. They're thinking about the parameters they've set up. My target market, is this the right county? Is this the right age group? And most importantly, they're thinking about what page am I sending them to? And these are the things that need to be constantly fine-tuned in order to get results. I'm not trying to scare you guys away from using this stuff. Again, this stuff does work, but I'm trying to educate you on all of the pieces to the puzzle because there are a lot of pieces. And, at the end of the day, you have to understand that this Google, especially the Google pay-per-click, it's been going on now since 1998. So what's that, 17 years? If you're just trying it for the first time, you have to understand you're up against people who've been doing it for 17 years. They're really, really good. They have a really good system. They're probably they're definitely making money with it. They would have given up long ago if they weren't. So my suggestion is, if you do want to get started with Google advertising, Google pay-per-click advertising, the first thing I would do is go online and try to do more research on it. Educate yourself. What I did is I actually went, this was back in the early 2000s, I went right onto Amazon and bought a few books and sat there and read them. And then what I did is, I had a budget of like $100 for the week, and I tried to be profitable with that $100. And I didn't get that many hits, but at the end of the day, I learned to fine-tune it. Where I'm going is I constantly see people go, you know what? I'm all in. I'm going to do $2,000 this month. They have no idea what they're doing. They blow through the $2,000, and then they try to tell me that it doesn't work. Well, that's not the case. It just didn't work for you because you didn't have enough trial and error to find the sweet spot. So with the Google pay-per-click, I think the best thing to do is, one, understand there's a lot of pieces to success. Two, go educate yourself. Go buy a book. Make sure the book was written within the last year or two. That can be a big mistake, buying a book that was written in like 2010. Make sure it's a 2014 or 2015 book. And then when you start, by all means, go and start. Pre-program yourself to know that you're going to fail. And there's going to be a lot of trial and error. And try to keep your budget very low until you start to see results. As you start to see results and you start to figure it out, obviously then you start to increase your budget and you start to get a little bit more creative. Most common question, should I outsource this to a company? You know, does it make sense to outsource it? Probably if you outsource it, you're going to double your budget because whoever's going to do this is probably going to need to spend a lot of time doing it to try to figure it out as well, and they're probably not going to be cheap. So in my opinion, if you're going to take the plunge, you might as well keep it internal. Keep it inside the house. Learn it yourself or try to have somebody inside understand it, because if you don't understand it, you're probably not going to see the value in what the guy you're hiring is doing anyway. That's my honest suggestion. I do not offer this to clients. It's just way too time consuming and it's hard. You know, I would feel terrible about taking someone's, you know, imagine if someone gave me $5,000 to manage, I charged them an extra $1,000 and I didn't get any results because their website stunk. You know, like that's the reality. So it becomes really hard to kind of do that for people. With the social media, this is newer. It's about 2 years old, maybe a year and a half. I'm sure you guys have seen it on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Here's an example on Facebook of just an advertisement that showed up. You know, you'll see it everywhere. You'll see also under your posts, there's always kind of a button that says boost, right? And let me see if I can pull up something. I'm on a different profile here. Bear with me a second here. You'll always kind of see that under your posts, there's kind of this button that says boost. And I always get people asking me, should I boost? Does it make sense to boost? Now, the thing with the social media posting, definitely much cheaper. But it's the same, but there's a lot of similar puzzle pieces. You can certainly boost your post, but I think when you do that, you just don't blindly do it to get more people looking at it. You want to have a game plan in place. So let's say that you're trying to promote, you know, are you confused about Medicare open enrollment? Use that as an example. You know, you're going to do it sometime in October or September or whatever as we get closer to that. What you would probably want to do is have some sort of marketing ad that is specific to that. You would want to kind of say, hey, are you confused about Medicare open enrollment? Or maybe you're trying to promote a seminar you're doing for it. So you kind of say, hey, are you confused about Medicare open enrollment? You know, do you live in the you know, Dallas-Fort Worth area? Then you have a button they can click that goes to your seminar schedule for people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Facebook is specific enough where you can have that advertisement just show up for people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it'll show up on all their on all their news feeds. The whole point would be to get them to click the link and go into that landing page. So my point is this, guys, and it's tough to go over this because this could be a 5-hour webinar if I wanted it to be. But I think my point is that the social media stuff, there are some results there, but you don't just want to boost any post that you do. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, some people may look at it. I think you really, really, really want to have a targeted game plan. You want to have that landing page, and you want to make sure that you think about what you do before you do it, you know? And I mean everything, how the ad looks, what time of the day you post it, and I think you can get results. Again, you probably don't want the really important one to be the first one you ever do. You probably want to do 3 or 4 trial runs. Start off with bidding like $2 or $3. See how it works. If you get the results, you know, maybe bid a little bit more, and you know, maybe expand your region a little bit. You know, obviously there's a lot of mistakes that can be made by beginners. You know, I'm not getting enough clicks. You know, I'm getting clicks but no leads. I'm getting leads but I don't convert any of them. These are just things you start to realize, and they help you fine-tune your ad. So like I said, you can see there's a lot of variables. Don't underestimate the competition. You know, there are some big companies out there that actually have people full-time to do this stuff. So my suggestion moving forward is start slow, educate yourself, but I think these are things that can't be ignored anymore. I think they're things as salesmen, especially for specific times in your year when you're really trying to focus on things and trying to, market them. These are things that can't be overlooked anymore. I think the days of cold calling and sending out mailers, I just don't know if the return's there anymore. And I think this is the future of it. So hopefully this was helpful. I appreciate your time, and I'll talk to everyone next.